Welcome back to Adrian's Avenue, where we're here to help you make daily decisions to design your destiny. And if I were to ask you today, I would think probably about 95% of us in this room, including myself, may have a spending problem. Now, you may say, I don't have a spending problem. Even if it's not a huge spending problem, I say most of us overspend in some area. But have no fear, we are here to help you today with your spending problem. Stay tuned. At some point in time, most of us have either bought more than we really needed or purchased something that we somewhat regretted after the purchase was done. And as for me, I will confess, my overspending, if I have a spending problem, is going to come with Amazon. Amazon is one of my favorite places to purchase things. My card is stored there, and so if I go into Amazon, I pretty much know I'm going to be buying something. Sometimes it's books, things that I need, but sometimes it's little things that I see that I don't necessarily need, don't necessarily calculate into my budget. However, Amazon is the place for me. And so that's one of the areas where I can spend. There are some stores, clothing stores that I go into, not off of emotion or anything, but I just go in there when I say, you know what, I haven't bought anything in a while. Let me just go in here and see what they have. And there are stores that I know if I go in, the purpose is to purchase something. And if the deals are great, I'm going to purchase more than the thing that I thought I needed. There are some stores I go into with a specific purpose, and if they have it there, if it's available, I'll get it. If not, I'm good with walking out. But I have a spending problem at times. So if I will admit that there are triggers that will lead me to open up my wallet, whether it's cash or credit card, you guys, you can look at your credit card statement and know exactly where your money is going. You can look at that. But sometimes when you carry a little bit of cash in your wallet or a lot of cash in your wallet, you're spending and you know you're spending, but you're not calculating that this is my spending problem. You can look, if you use a credit card and use it right, you'll get the statement every month. You can look on your credit card and see if you have a spending problem, because there will be Starbucks, or some of the stores I go into, or it'll be Amazon. So I know that's where the bulk of my money is going. And so I know I have a spending problem. I'll admit it. But where are you spending your money? Do you have a spending problem? Whether you admit it or not, just take a look at the statement. The numbers do not lie. So now let's just go through a few symptoms of overspending. If your credit card statement, when you get it, if it's growing larger instead of shrinking, you have a spending problem, overspending. And even if the months, like I know December and January are my big months that I'm going to spend most of my money, but I can look back over the years and kind of calculate how much did I spend this year as opposed to this year as opposed to this year. And so I can kind of see if it's growing. Even with inflation, if it's growing, I may be overspending in those months, because anticipating that I know December is going to be a big month, but not really calculating how big of a month it's going to be, and maybe putting a few extra items in there that'll make it a bigger month as far as spending than it could have been. It may indicate that I have a spending problem in those particular months. So if your credit card statement is getting larger, even in the months it's not supposed to grow, if it's getting larger, you more than likely are overspending in some areas. So take a look at your credit card statement, because it will tell you where your money's going and where the bulk of your money's going and where you're overspending. Another symptom is if you feel a little guilty or anxious after making a purchase. It's something that you decided to go ahead and buy, but now you're feeling guilty because you may have spent the rent money on it. You may have spent the utility money on it. You may have tipped out of some other stash that you had to pay for this. And now you're feeling guilty about, okay, how am I going to make this work for me now that I've overspent that money? And so you're feeling a little guilty about it. You're going to be feeling bad probably for a while. And some of you all will actually take the item back because you know that it's at the time, maybe it's not a good time to buy it right now. So you're feeling a little bit guilty about it. And so that may be a good indicator that there is a spending problem, or if you overspent at least for that particular item. This one is a biggie: emotional spending. If you're feeling sad, let's go to the mall. If you're feeling happy, let's go celebrate. Let's go buy something. If you feel that you've accomplished something, let's go and celebrate at a meal or something. There's always a reason for you to go out, and it may be every other day, it may be every day, it may be every week that you're finding an emotion to play on so that you can go and spend some money. You know, some of us get down on ourselves, and the thing we think that's going to lift us up is to go and spend some money. Where the deeper problem is not that you don't have something that you want to go out and buy, it's some other internal feelings that you need to work out. And spending is not the answer. It can get you into an overspending cycle where you're spending more money than you actually have. And it may put you into a deeper depression or a deeper sadness, because now you have a pile of bills that you went out and made that you didn't necessarily have to go out and make because of emotions. Just like emotions, some of us eat off of emotions. Some of us go spend off of emotions. There are various things that we do because we don't necessarily have control of our emotions. So we react to something that will maybe help us feel a little bit better in the moment. And what I'm saying is to dig a little deeper than that, because you don't want to overspend based on emotions alone. But these emotions, they'll get you. It's real. If you feel sad, some people go out and just buy things. Some people go out and buy large things. They make large purchases. And then later on, months later, when they have to pay that bill, they're regretful that they did that. But they acted upon an emotion that had a hold of them at the time. So it is real. I totally understand. But we need to get a hold of the emotions, because that is a good indicator that you may have a spending problem and may be overspending because of your emotions. The next symptom is you can't seem to save enough emergency money. You know, you're going for your 1 month, and you're going for your 3 months, and you're going for your 6 months, but it appears you can never get there because you are spending your emergency money on things that are not emergencies, you guys. You're spending that money that you should be setting aside. It should be a certain amount that you set aside every month, every week, how often you get paid, set aside for emergencies until you hit that 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, however much you want to have in your emergency fund. If you don't seem to reach it, however, you do have this extra money that you have that you could be putting toward that. You're going out and doing something else on it. So that could be an indication that you're overspending. Go ahead and save that money for emergencies. Set it aside. Things happen every day. This week, I had an AC unit in my home to have some issues. And so there's a couple of $1,000s I'm going to have to put out to get something replaced. And so, but without the emergency fund for this, because I didn't know the thing was going to go out, it is a total emergency for me because I wasn't aware of it. And so if I didn't have extra money put aside to take care of this, I would have to go get my credit card, put it on my credit card, and then pay it off. And that's something that we don't want to continue to do. Emergency fund is there for a reason. It helps you sleep better at night, makes you feel more secure. You'll have a little extra money that you can use for things such as this. So don't delay funding your emergency fund because you want to go out, have fun with the girls, or have an extra meal here or extra meal there. You don't want to do that with your emergency money. Keep each section of money where it's supposed to be. And then you can spend without any regret, without any guilt, because that money was set aside for that particular purpose. But if you don't seem that you can reach your emergency fund that you've been trying to reach all last year, maybe for the last 6 months, and you don't have it yet, it may be because you're overspending in some areas. So take a look at that. Do the right thing. Help yourself. Do the right thing for yourself and your family. Fund that emergency fund, because we never know, especially in today's times and ages and with what's going on in the world. We want to make sure we have some kind of money set aside for these things. And the last symptom I will bring up, you just can't track where your money's going. Have you ever gotten paid and then next thing you know, the next few days, you're broke and you don't know where your money went? Because number one, you probably don't have a budget. And number two, you're just spending, not writing anything down, going from here to there, doing different things, not keeping track of anything. And the next thing you know, it disappears just like air. You know, you can't see it anymore. You can't find it. And you wonder, where did the money go? Well, until you get in control of where your money is going via budget, via writing some things down, via spreadsheet, via doing some stuff for your family, know exactly where your money is going, because there's a lot of people out there that's taking your money. They know exactly where it's going. It's going from your hand to theirs, but you can't track it. So if you've ever been in that situation where you've gotten paid and the next thing you know, you don't have any money, however, you don't know where it went. You can't pinpoint where it went. Even if you know that I have this much for a car payment, you know, $500, $600 car payment, and you pay $2,500 on the rent. However, you don't know where that other money is going. After you do utilities, you need to track everything. That way you know exactly where your money is going. Because if you don't, probably a good symptom and an indication that you're overspending in some, if not 1, 2, 3, 4 areas in your life. You're overspending. You need to know where your money is going. Before we go any further, I want you to hit that like button and that subscribe button so that you can stay up to date on the latest information as I bring it to you. And let me know, do you feel you have a spending problem? And if you do, are there certain things that you're changing and doing something different with that spending problem? Make a comment below. I'd love to know if you feel like you have a spending problem, but probably because 98% of the people at some point in time in your journey, financial journey, you probably had a spending problem. You may have gotten over it, but every now and then, because even for me, it flares up every now and then. Make a comment below. I'd love to know. Now we're going to get to solving those issues. Solution number 1. The first thing I want you to do is to track your spending for 30 days. Just track it down, write it down. And I want you to write it down because there's power in writing things down. It means more than putting it in an app on your phone. There are apps that you can track it on. But if you feel like you have a spending problem, if you're overspending, for the first 30 days, write it down. Everything you do. Take a little piece of paper and a pad with you and just write down. If you go into Starbucks, I heard a friend of mine say she spends $14 every time she goes into Starbucks. I don't know what she buys, but she spends $14. She knows that. And I don't know if she goes every day, every other day, or what it is. I know the times that I do go into Starbucks, I usually have a gift card before I go in. And it's about $6 because I get their smallest little drink. I get a decaf. I can't take a lot of caffeine and all of that. So I don't spend very much at Starbucks, and they don't have anything there. I'm sure they have good food there. Nothing that interests me in eating, you know, the food that they have there to eat. So that's not what I'm looking for when I go to Starbucks. It's mainly just some type of latte, frappe, or something like that. And I'm gone. And usually it's going to be in the wintertime because I want to stay warm. I don't do a lot of their cold drinks. And I don't want to get into the habit of liking something of theirs that I'm going to go back, you know, every other day or once a week or anything like that. But track the things that you're spending. If you go out to lunch, I've been testing a few places at lunch. I can't get below $11 for lunch. And if I go right at $11, it's not going to be a full meal with there's not going to be a drink coming with it, probably not a few sides or anything like that. It's going to be main course, you know, a piece of protein or something like that. And that's probably going to be it as far as staying below $11. But about $15 is what you're paying for lunch. So if that's for lunch, if you go for dinner, it's going to be $20, $21, $22 on up for dinner. If you have a family, you have to feed the other mouths in the family. So you can see how this can make you spend quite a bit of money. But if you write it down, you'll know exactly where your money's going. So for the next 30 days, I want you to actually write it down on a sheet of paper, spreadsheet, a pad, just every day, write it down. The date, what you're spending, every time your credit card comes out, every time your wallet comes out, you're giving somebody cash, write it down so that you'll know exactly how much money you're spending, and you'll be able to track that. But that's what I want you to do for solution number 1. Solution number 2, set spending limits. It's nothing like a spending limit. If you know that you go places often, or if you go to the grocery store, let's say you give yourself a budget of $75 a week to buy groceries, and you go to the grocery store And I see some people actually calculating how much they're spending as they're going to the grocery store. When they go to the produce area, they'll put it in the bag, they'll weigh it and get that little sticker so they'll know exactly how much it's going to be before they get to the counter, where they either self-check themselves out or either the cashier will ring them up. But they know pretty much how much that bill is going to be. Use coupons, so you'll know that. But the thing is to make sure that you're knowing and putting limits on when you go to these various places. If you know you want to buy a pair of shoes and you don't want to pay over $100 for a pair of shoes, that's the limit. So if you see something for 120, guess what? You can't buy it because it's off the limit, So stick to the limit of what you're putting on this. Now, some things we can't control, such as utility bills, that type of thing. When gas goes down, go fill up. When gas is high, if you can make it, don't fill up then. But try to track things, put limits on things, and try to work it like that. But that will help you with your overspending. If you limit yourself to what you're going to spend, if you walk into this store, what you're going to spend for lunch every day, what you're going to spend for dinner, whatever it is at the grocery store, you will have these in place and you won't go over, but you have to stick to the limit. Do not go over that limit that you set for yourself. For those of you who have a problem with credit cards, I don't, because I pay them off every month. But if you have a problem using a credit card, it's best to solve your problem with using either cash or a debit card that comes straight out of your checking account. So if you do have a problem with that, you will see the money leaving your hands. You will see the money and feel it leaving your account. You don't have it anymore. It's already gone over to somebody else, right? And so this will help you with your overspending. If you know that I work however many hours to make $100 and I'm just going to give it to somebody and I have to go back, see if you make $20 an hour, you gotta spend 5 hours to make that $100 to go buy those pair of shoes or whatever it is. So if you want to spend 5 hours of your life to go in to buy that pair of shoes for $100, that's fine. But when that money leaves your pocket, it hits different. It really does. Even when I use my credit card, I'm thinking about how am I going to pay for this? I'm thinking about how much I already have charged on my credit card so I don't go over my specific limit that I have out there for myself. I'm thinking about all of this, you all. So it's not just haphazardly, I'm going out spending, get the bill in and just write a check and pay it off. No, I have limits. I have stops on that also. But use cash, use a debit card if you have a problem with a credit card and overspending. If this purchase is going to be a large purchase and you just walked up on it, you saw it, it's like, wow, I could really use that in my life. I could really use that at my house. Sometimes I go to Costco and I see things and they cost quite a bit. I'm like, wow, that would be great to go ahead and buy it and get it home. I did not go to Costco for that, but I see things and all of a sudden it's like I can fit it in my budget and I could go ahead and buy it. I would say for large items over a certain amount, and you decide what that amount is, but if it's over a certain amount, you may want to have a 24-hour cooling off period, because you could go home, get on the internet and find it for a cheaper price. Or you could go home and decide, you know what, I really don't need that, or I really don't need it right now. It could be not now, later on. It doesn't have to be always no all the time. It could be later, or next week, or next month when I have some more money within my reach. So if you do that, have that 24-hour cooling off period, and you really think about it leaving your hands, going to Costco or whoever it's going to, and make a decision. If the decision is yes and you feel good with it, go for that decision, but have a means of paying it off. Don't just say, I'm going to buy it and I'll just pay it off, monthly payments, because that's not the right thing to do. That's still an indication of overspending. But make that period of cooling off. If you wait 24 hours and you still decide, I really need this in my life and I'm willing to make sacrifices to get it, go for it. And the last solution I will help you with is to make sure you keep in mind your major financial goals for the year. If you want to purchase a home, if you want to pay some things off, if there's some things that you want to do, that's what you need to keep in mind before you go out and just start spending money and overspending. We don't want to do that. We don't want to overspend. But if we keep that in the back of our mind or at the forefront, even if you write a little card, put it in your wallet, vacation, or if you put in your wallet the picture of the car you want, the picture of the house you want, the goals that you have down, you can do this. Put these things in your head and somewhere where you can see them, so it'll focus on, you know what, I want this more than I want this. And so I'm going to say no to this so that I can get this. It could be later. Like I said, everything is not no. It could be not now. But say no to some things so you can get the things that you really, really want. And so keep that in mind and keep that focus in mind, and you can get the things that you really want financially and not those little petty things that you're buying, you know, just on a frenzy and overspending. So if you resonate with any of this stuff that I've been talking about, I would really like to see your comments in the comment area, because I'd love to hear what you have to say as far as overspending. And maybe you don't have an overspending problem. If you don't, congratulations. But most people go through overspending at some point in time. So make a comment, let me know if you do have an overspending problem, maybe what it is and what you're doing to resolve that. The whole community would love to hear it, and it may help us all. And with that, I will see you in the next video.